Y'all, welcome back to Twin Oaks Farm Poultry. It is day 3 with watching the progress of our flock of 305 broilers, specifically Cornish rock cross meat chickens that we raise to produce poultry from. So we are going to take a look at the flock and take a look at some adjustments that we're making in their brooder pen on day 3 here. And we're also going to get to see some visual reference on the temperature that it is and what we've got in the brooder to also adjust for temperature needs of the birds. And so in our building, keeping in mind that the temperature, without supplemental heat turned on in our building, the temperature inside our building is basically dependent on whatever the temperature is in the outdoor climate, and the temperature inside the building basically matches the outdoor temperature. So if the birds are at a stage of growth where they maybe need a little supplemental heat, we have to supply that. And if the birds are at a stage of growth where the temperature they want to be at matches the temperature that's happening in our outdoor climate at the time, we can probably go without supplemental heat. And then later in production, we tend to run into stages, especially flocks this time of year, where the weather may be too hot for the birds, and then we have to counterbalance the other direction and help the birds be cool as they want to be. So you're going to see what's going on today, and remember that we're in the first week and they want to be 95 degrees. So let's go ahead and take a look here at our brooder pen and at our little flock. And so again, this is basically what we're seeing when we walk in the flock. This is a great time to be taking a look at the flock, actually, because we are seeing a lot of the birds in a resting pattern here. And as we edge in closer, you can kind of see that. And so we'll zoom in and kind of let the camera pan around the brooder pen. And so a lot of these birds are really resting. And I've said before, when baby birds rest, like their bodies almost look like mush. It's hard to believe that they're even alive. But I can assuredly confirm for you that all 305 of our chicks are living. And so that's the best news about day 3 of our flock, is that all the birdies are alive. But you know, just like that, I mean, you look at those birds in question, are they okay? But they are. They just, when baby birds rest, I mean, they really rest. You know, take a look at these two right there. And so see, I wanted to give you that visual reference. It was really questionable looking at them. Were they living? But yes, you saw them get up. So we know that they are. There's one all stretched out. So as I was saying, you're seeing the birds in kind of a resting phase. And what ends up happening, and I could tell anyway that they're kind of near the end of that resting phase. So they'll begin to be active. And that's good, because we also want to show you some adjustments with the feed. So this is how we've had the feed down in these chick feeder trays, and that's what happens. They get in it, stand in it, eat from it, kick shavings into it. This one has been emptied, and they've kicked quite a bit of pine shavings into that one. So we had 12 feeders down, and they pretty much ate through all the feed that was available to them. And so what we did was, we'll show you over here, we got the top pieces for the feeders, and they click in to these hinges, and they hinge on, and then they fasten with these little knobs, and so that just opens and closes. So we put tops on these feeders, and we filled them, and we'll actually place some down into the pen. So we can go ahead and do that right here, and we can see if they approach it or see the reaction. So this is different for them because they've had the trays like that with no top on it. Now I'm gonna zoom back out so you can see this is what ends up happening. When they all kind of start waking up and they know there's activity happening, they start doing these chicken zoomies around the pen. And you can see that, you know, they were resting. Well, now they're getting up and they're filtering around the brooder pen. We're especially seeing them at the water, and they would be going to the feeders if I had all the feeders down, but I will be placing all of those feeders that you see lined up there. I'll be placing all of those down into the chicken pen. And so there they are at the waters. So we really haven't changed anything with the waters just yet. Now, personal preference, you can start your birds off with electrolytes and vitamin supplements in the waters if you want to. We are going to do that during the first week, but we didn't do it in the first 2 and 3 days here because we didn't have any extreme weather conditions happening right now. So we knew that the birds were going to be able to maintain a comfortable temperature zone for the most part in the beginning and wouldn't be stressed over temperature. And in the beginning, we kind of have to gauge how quickly the birds are drinking the water. And I had said in day 2, we were kind of oversupplying the water. So we got that gauged correctly now. And they've almost emptied these waters because we had only filled them half full. And it's been about 24 hours since we did that. And now they've almost emptied them. So we'll be filling them, and we may go ahead and add the electrolyte supplement. But see how they know to put their heads inside there and reach into the feeders. So they're up now in this part of their routine where they'll eat and drink, and they'll take care of their bathroom business in the brooder. Typically, they do that while they're up drinking water, and so they'll take care of that, and then they'll actually go into a resting period again. But even here's what the outside temperature basically is, about 79 degrees, and that's accurate. That's what it is outside, and that's about what our barn carries. Now, I can't gauge the temperature under the heat lamps with this thermometer because this one tops out at 80 degrees, and I'm sure it's hotter than that under the heat lamps. And the birds want to be about 95. So you can tell some of them are getting around it, and if the temperature starts to slip below 79, gradually more birds will start to use the heat lamps. So we're going to leave the heat lamps on, and the birds obviously can get away from the heat lamps if they want to, or they can use them if they want to. So in our building, really, without influencing the temperature, it basically matches the outside temperature. So we're in a good range where we're starting the birds at a temperature that's not too stressful with the natural temperature, but we're adding a little bit of supplemental heat, and that helps them. So some other things, I don't have a visual reference for you, but some other things to watch for with baby chicks, a couple of things. First, if they get flipped over on their back, that can kill them. And so we call that turtled. I don't know if that's an official name for that or if that's just a nickname that we've invented, but sometimes baby chicks, they'll bump into each other, they'll run each other over, something will happen and the chickie will get flipped over on its back. Be mindful of looking through your flock and seeing that all the chicks are sitting upright. And if you see one that's turtled or flipped over on its back, do it a favor and set it upright because it'll suffocate. They can't breathe on their back, and they don't have the ability to get themselves back upright either. So if you do see one on its back, do it a favor, flip it right side up so that it can continue to live. So that's definitely one thing you want to watch for. Also, sometimes, we're not seeing it in any of these birds, fortunately, but sometimes they get a condition called pasty bottom, and that's where when they manure, it clumps and sticks to their back end. And honestly, we see more problems with that if the weather's cold than if the weather is warm and pleasant. And so we're not seeing that in this flock. But that's also another reason we give the water first and wait an hour or two and then add feed, because simply letting the water hit their digestive system first helps to prevent that pasty bottom condition from happening once they start to consume feed. So we're going to run out of recording time. We'll check in on day 4 tomorrow with the flock, and we appreciate y'all joining us and visiting our meat bird flock here in our meat bird production barn at Twin Oaks Farm. God bless y'all.